Chapter 1363. You're my husband, I'm not disgusting. Gu Mengmeng pounced into Li's arms. Leah transformed back into his human form and hugged Gu Mengmeng, looking at her uneasily with his slanted eyes. Will you abandon me? I won't. Gu Mengmeng looked at Leah and promised solemnly, I know I often go back on my words, so you and Elvis call me a little liar, but I will never lie to you guys about this. I, Gu Mengmeng, only have a deceased husband, no ex-husband. Gu Mengmeng. Leah hesitated for a moment, but still hugged Gu Mengmeng tightly. I know I'm selfish, I clearly have such dirty blood flowing in my body, but I still refuse to let you off. I can do anything, really. Beast pets, guardian beasts, even food. I only beg for one thing, don't abandon me. I'm not afraid of pain, I'm not afraid of death, but I'm afraid of not having you. You won't be without me, I will always be by your side. Gu Mengmeng pressed her face against Li's chest and said softly, humans can't choose their own birth. We can't decide who our parents are, what kind of weird relatives we have, this is our original sin, but you can't be blamed. After all, you don't have the right to reject. But, those evildoers are not you, you didn't imprison Miranda, you didn't force her to mate, you didn't even eat her children like a lunatic. You're not the one who did those things, why do you have to blame yourself? Leah shook his head, I'm not blaming myself, I'm feeling inferior, you're like the sun, your whole body is glowing, while I'm getting more and more unbearable. Leah, do you still remember me telling you that you're my first love? Gu Mengmeng's words were like a warm breeze, intoxicating him. Leah nodded, I remember, you said that first love is the most unforgettable and beautiful feeling. We're each other's first love. Li's words were unintentional, but Elvis, who was sitting quietly at the side, heard it. His heart sank, the word first love was like a heavy boulder smashing down on him. The last time he accompanied Gu Mengmeng to meet the beast deity, he met Snake from another world. He seemed to have become Xiaomeng's first love in that world. This world had Leah, that world had Snake, but only he, her first partner, would never become her first love. Gu Mengmeng's attention was all on Leah, so she did not care about Elvis's feelings. She just laid in Li's arms gently and said, in our world, there's a saying, perhaps every man has had 2 women like this before, at least 2. If you marry a red rose, over time, the red will become a smear of mosquito blood on the wall, while the white will still be the bright moonlight in front of the bed. If you marry a white rose, the white will be a grain of rice stuck on your clothes, while the red will be a cinnabar mole on your heart. Chapter 1364. Leah knew that Gu Mengmeng was comforting him. He loved her so much and spent all his thoughts on her. How could he not understand the heartache in her eyes? With her heartache, Leah felt that he would be punished by the heavens if he did not pull himself together. Probing carefully, Leah confirmed for the last time. You really don't despise my tribe for being so dirty and my beast father for being so deranged? Gu Mengmeng poked Li's chest with a smile. The deranged one is your beast father, not you. Why should I make you jealous? Moreover, who said that the Snow Fox tribe is dirty? In my eyes, you are the cleanest and prettiest vixen. Leah finally heaved a sigh of relief. He hugged Gu Mengmeng's waist and asked, how pretty? Gu Mengmeng's mood improved when she saw Leah smiling. She tapped her chin and deliberated for a while before saying, a smile that can topple a city, another smile that can topple a country, a beauty that is unparalleled in this world. Just one look at you makes me yearn for you. I can't forget you and I think of you crazily. Leah kissed Gu Mengmeng's little face. I can't forget you and I think of you crazily. Looks like you are really pretty. Of course, don't you know whose husband he is? Gu Mengmeng held Li's handsome face and kissed him. My Leah, you still look better when you smile. That gloomy look doesn't suit you. I feel so aggrieved looking at you. If you like it, I will smile for you every day in the future. Leah replied. Gu Mengmeng nodded. Then, she stood up. All right, since everything is settled internally, shouldn't we go and settle the external debts? Leah also stood up. He held Gu Mengmeng's little hand. As long as you don't despise me, then everything that Cole has painstakingly arranged will be useless in front of me. Gu Mengmeng nodded. Then, she reached her other hand out to Elvis. My cinnabar mole in my heart, accompany me to bully others. Cinnabar mole in her heart, Elvis chuckled. Gu Mengmeng had dispelled all the depression he felt because of the word first love. Holding Gu Mengmeng's little hand, he said, let me do the rough work like fighting, don't rush forward, understand? Gu Mengmeng nodded and smiled. I know, Leah will crush him with his brain and Elvis will crush him with his physical strength. I'll just sit here and watch the show. Be good. Elvis and Leah exchanged glances and had a tacit understanding of the situation they were going to face when they went downstairs. Although they did not believe that Gu Mengmeng would sit there and watch the show, but, with the two of them around, she wouldn't be at a disadvantage. When he went downstairs, Miranda was hugging her knees as she curled up in a corner. She looked aggrieved as she glanced at Leah from the corner of her eyes. Leah turned a blind eye to Miranda and only guarded Gu Mengmeng carefully. He then took out a stone stool and covered it with beast skin for Gu Mengmeng to sit on. He bent one knee and half-squatted to accommodate Gu Mengmeng's height. The melons are gone now, but I remember that you love to eat Schweling fruit. After I chase away the annoying flies, hubby will help you find some, alright? Gu Mengmeng had eaten the Schweling fruit before when she was pregnant. Chapter 1365. No need, I don't really like it. Gu Mengmeng shook her head in rejection. Gregory, who had remained silent all this while, said, I know where to find it, I will help you find it. Before Gu Mengmeng could say, no need, Gregory had already spread his wings and flew away. Gu Mengmeng thought it was a good idea. If they were to fight later and the three beast kings were fighting with their lives, Gregory, a third-level beast, would probably explode from the pressure. Anyway, he was used to traveling in the wind and snow and the outside might be safer for him than the stone castle. Hence, she gave up on the idea of chasing after him and just muttered, thank you. Leah chuckled and said, he has flown far away and probably can't hear your thanks. But it doesn't matter, when he returns with the fruits, Elvis and I will use other things to exchange with him. We will not let him suffer for nothing. Gu Mengmeng nodded, feeling that this was better. Otherwise, she would not feel at ease eating the Schweling fruits. So Gu likes to eat Schweling fruits. Cole looked like he understood and smiled, saying, all right, I will order someone to help you search the entire beast world and pluck all the Schweling fruits for you, all right? Gu Mengmeng looked up at Cole, then let out a blood-curdling howl, giving Elvis and Leah a fright. Even Cole was so shocked that he could not move. Gu Mengmeng pounced into Lee's arms and cried out, my eyes are going blind, how can there be such a disgusting thing in this world, sobs, 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 it hurts my eyes. Elvis and Leah were first taken aback before they laughed. This girl, didn't she say she was just going to watch the show? Leah patted Gu Mengmeng's back lightly and coaxed her with a helpless tone, all right, don't look at him if you know it hurts your eyes. What if you damage your eyes later? Gu Mengmeng nodded in agreement and said, yeah, hubby is still the best looking. Come and give me a smile, I need to wash my eyes. All right. Leah cupped Gu Mengmeng's face and gave her a bright and doting smile. His long and narrow eyes were filled with tenderness, as if he was looking at the most precious treasure in the world. Gu Mengmeng nodded in satisfaction and turned to look at Elvis. Hubby, smile. Every time Elvis saw Gu Mengmeng's face, he would curl his lips out of reflex. Now that she asked him to smile, he froze. After being stunned for a long while, he finally forced a smile. Gu Mengmeng clasped her hands in front of her chest and said, so handsome. Elvis laughed out loud at Gu Mengmeng's teasing. He sighed helplessly and rubbed her head. Then, he stood in front of Gu Mengmeng with Leah and used his broad back to shield her. He faced Cole and said, are you going to scram or do I have to do it? Cole smiled and asked, you and I are both beast kings. If we were to fight, who do you think will die first? Cole's gaze landed on Lee's face, his gaze clear. Elvis moved his neck left and right as a warm-up. I'm not Xiao Meng. I won't be threatened. Cole nodded and said, that's true. How would the little wolf cub that I trained have such a gentle heart like Gu? But, doesn't Gu have something to ask me? Is it really alright for you to chase me away like this? After all, I used the soul of the forest to activate my Beast King bloodline. Chapter 1366. Leah waved his tail nonchalantly. Cole, if you use the same trick for a long time, you will become immune to it. Qi Xian is already a second-level orc now. He is an adult and no longer a cub that Gu Meng needs to protect. Even if a male beast of this age dies, it is just natural selection. How long do you think you can hold Gu Meng hostage with just Qi Xian? Cole nodded in agreement. One Qi Xian is definitely not enough. Then, what if we add another Kanwu? Oh, right, out of Gu's litter of cubs, Jiaoyu is the one I like the most. His eyes are so similar to Gu's, making me feel pity for him. I can't help but want to press him under my body and dote on him to comfort my longing for Gu. Gu Mengmeng jumped up from the stool. Li's large tail swayed gently behind him, before sweeping past Gu Mengmeng's arm and landing in her arms. Leah was telling Gu Mengmeng, calm down, he is using psychological tactics to disturb you. Gu Mengmeng took a few deep breaths and forced herself to calm down. Then, she hugged Li's tail and sat back on the stone stool. With Elvis and Leah between them, she and Cole could not see each other. Cole's hearing was extremely good and he could clearly hear the sound of Gu Mengmeng standing up in anger. It was a pity that the two eyesores in front of him stopped him, or else he would be able to see that furious little face appear in front of him. Even if it was anger and hatred, it was so beautiful when her eyes were focused on him. Slightly regretful, Cole said, Gu, I came all the way here to help you fix your house, take care of your sons and even found supplements for Leah to level up. Aren't you going to come out and thank me? Gu Mengmeng did not say a word. She just sat behind Leah and watched how Leah and Elvis would deal with Cole. Elvis took a step forward, his fangs and claws already flashing. Cole waved his hand and said, if we were to fight, I'm afraid Sauter would be destroyed. I don't mind, but Gu's favorite Sandy and her family are still here. The newly migrated wolves and your eldest son, Hada, are still here. Is it alright if they all die? Gu will cry, right? Elvis sneered. You talk a lot of nonsense. As he spoke, Elvis had already attacked Cole with his claw. Cole was right. He could not kill him because Qishuan's life was tied to Cole's. Although he did not care about Qishuan's life, Gu Mengmeng did. Elvis would never do anything that would upset Gu Mengmeng. However, killing was not the only way to torture people. Elvis's moves were very sharp and left no room for maneuver. Since Cole was also a Beast King now, it would not be easy to kill him. He could only remain invincible if he gave it his all. And Elvis and Li's motive was to obtain his soul of the forest. As long as they could snatch Cole's soul of the forest, they would no longer have to look for the spirit of the rocky cliffs. Furthermore, they also wanted to see if Cole could grow a new one after losing the soul of the forest and having his limbs broken. Chapter 1367. While the two Beast Kings were locked in a fierce battle, Miranda, who had been curled up in a corner, crawled to Li's feet along the wall. She grabbed onto Li's ankle while Li's attention was on Elvis and Cole's battle. Leah felt his ankle being touched. As he lowered his head, he had already retreated backwards. But Miranda did not loosen her grip. Because of Li's strength, her entire body was dragged along the ground for a long distance, but her grip did not loosen at all. She raised her tear-stained face and begged bitterly, yeah. I know you are already mated, but I don't mind. Even if you lock me in a secret chamber for the rest of my life, I am willing. I will be a very good tool for you to level up. As long as you mate with me, you will be able to level up to the 5th level very quickly. That way, you will be able to protect your females better, right? So don't push me away anymore. Just treat me as a tool and have me properly, alright? Gu Mengmeng was really speechless. Weren't the females in the beast world all spoiled and willful? Although Nina was the more exaggerated type, Gu Mengmeng swore that she had never seen a female who could compromise so much like Miranda. She was even more extreme than those shameless mistresses in the modern world. She really dared to say anything just to climb into Lee's bed. Gu Mengmeng stood up and walked to Leah. She stepped on Miranda's wrist and said, "Seducing my man right in front of me. You really don't want your pair of claws anymore." With that, Gu Mengmeng exerted force with her foot. The sound of bones being crushed rang out, followed by Miranda's tragic cries. Miranda's wrist was crushed by Gu Mengmeng's foot. The hand that was grabbing onto Lee's ankle naturally let go due to the pain. Leah took the opportunity to pull his foot out and carry Gu Mengmeng up. "How could you step on her? Feeling heartache?" Gu Mengmeng looked at Leah coldly. Leah nodded. "How can I not feel heartache? What if the bone fragments pierced into the sole of my foot? Moreover, those bones are so hard. Aren't you afraid of your foot being crushed? And blood, so dirty, tsk, how many times have I said this? Let me and Elvis do this kind of vulgar words. You always refuse to listen." As Leah spoke, he placed Miranda back on the stone bench and casually pulled out a piece of inferior beast skin to cover Miranda, who was rolling on the ground. Then, he picked her up and threw her to the corner of the wall. "If you come near me and my Gu Mengmeng again, I will throw you into a bonfire and make you into a barbecue." Miranda was in so much pain that she could not hear what Leah was saying. She could only roll around in the corner. Leah could not be bothered to say more to her. He just took out a stone basin and placed it on the fire to boil some hot water. After the water was warm enough, he started to wash her feet. This scene was a little strange. The two beast kings did not unleash their beast pressure and were holding kitchen knives to chop the electric wires, killing each other with sparks and lightning. Meanwhile, Leah was waving his large furry tail and calmly washing Gu Mengmeng's feet. Gu Mengmeng looked up at the battle between Elvis and Cole. Elvis's attacks were all killer moves, but Cole was like a loach. He did not even fight Elvis head-on. Instead, he dodged and dodged whenever he could. He was clearly exhausting Elvis's energy. Chapter 1368. Leah washed Gu Mengmeng's little feet and wiped them dry with a beast skin. He then took out a new pair of boots for her to wear before saying, "All right, sit down obediently." Gu Mengmeng nodded. Leah then waved his large tail and stood in front of Gu Mengmeng, saying softly, "The mighty Fox King did not come to Sauter just to compete with the Wolf Clan, right?" Cole chuckled and pulled back. Elvis stopped attacking at the same time and also took a step back. He returned to Gu Mengmeng's side and stood beside Leah, blocking Gu Mengmeng completely, not allowing Cole to see a single bit of her. Elvis and Cole's earlier trembling was mostly to test each other. Even though Leah had washed Gu Mengmeng's feet in the middle, he still had a clear grasp of the general situation. At the level of a beast king, the difference between races was already negligible. It was impossible for Elvis to suppress Cole alone, but Elvis was not the only beast king on their side, so they still had the right to speak. Cole stood with his hands behind his back and said, "Leah, move aside." Lee's body went limp and he knelt to the side. He struggled to stand up, but he could not muster any strength at all. Gu Mengmeng remembered this scene. When the mark on the back of her neck had just changed, Wabi was also like this. Gu Mengmeng jumped up from the stool to support Leah. She glanced sideways at Cole and said coldly, "Cole, kneel down." The moment Gu Mengmeng said that, Cole indeed knelt down. This made Elvis, who had intended to attack Cole, pause. He stood back at his original spot without saying a word. Cole was also a little surprised. He wanted to stand up, but he could not muster any strength. Gu Mengmeng helped Leah up and let him sit on the little stone stool that she was originally on. Then, she stood at the side and gently hugged Lee's shoulders, letting him lean into her arms. Elvis stood behind Gu Mengmeng, finally allowing Gu Mengmeng and Cole to look at each other. Gu Mengmeng laughed coldly and said, "Do you understand now? Even if you are a beast king, you are nothing in front of me." Of course. Cole seemed to especially admire Gu Mengmeng's darkened look. His face was filled with unconcealable joy and admiration. Ah, Gu is the highest existence in this world. I, Cole, am just a speck of dust under your feet. Gu Mengmeng completely ignored Cole's disgusting fawning and only stared at him coldly. What did you do to my son? Cole shook his head and said, the young lords are all in a very safe place under my protection. Gu Mengmeng sneered. Why does my son need your protection? Who do you think you are? Cole gazed deeply at Gu Mengmeng and said gently, Gu, have you never thought about how big of an impact Elvis would have on the beast world when he used the heart of the desert to activate the Beast King bloodline? Gu Mengmeng frowned and did not reply. The love of the sky and spirit of the rocky cliffs that have yet to appear are protected by the beast god's enchantment. No one other than you can obtain them. The tear of the beast god and the heart of the desert were in the hands of the two beast kings, so no one dared to covet them. The key of the beast king had yet to appear, so naturally, no one dared to hope for it. Then, the remaining two treasures. Gu Mengmeng paused and her heart turned cold. Cole understood that Gu Mengmeng had figured out the crux of the matter. He continued, I know that you once said, an innocent man gets into trouble because of his wealth. I feel that it is most suitable to be used on Qi Xian. Digression, why was Cole so intimidated by Gu Mengmeng? The reason was very simple. Gu Mengmeng had dug out Bai An's heart. Let's put it this way. If you killed a tiger with your bare hands and hung the tiger's heart on your neck, I can guarantee that no stray dog in your neighborhood would dare to come near you. Dan Fan, who met your eyes, would all run away. It was the same reason. Chapter 1369. He was just a second-level orc, but he had two treasures that could make the entire beast world go crazy. That was like throwing a fat piece of meat into the wolf's den. Gu Mengmeng frowned. She was really too careless. As a mother, why didn't she consider what kind of trouble Qi Xian would land himself in because of her decision? Cole continued. So, I took the soul of the forest from Qishuan's glabella just to divert the attention from Qi Xian. After all, killing a wandering fox king like me is much more justifiable than killing the messenger of the beast deity and the wolf king's son. Not only would I obtain the treasure that could activate the beast king bloodline, I wouldn't have to worry about the messenger and the wolf king settling the score. I am doing this for little Xian's sake. How can you be angry at me? Leah leaned into Gu Mengmeng's arms. Although he was in a state where he could not exert any strength, he did not look pathetic at all. Instead, he exuded a seductive charm. In contrast, Cole, who was forced to kneel on the ground by Gu Mengmeng, looked even more pathetic. Leah spoke softly. The Fox King's silver tongue can really distort right and wrong. You took the soul of the forest from Qishuan's glabella to protect him? Forget it. Just like what Gu Mengmeng said, we are all vixens. You can't play strange stories from a Chinese studio in front of me. Leah wanted to stand up but failed. He still could not exert any strength, so he could only sit there and hold Gu Mengmeng's hand gently, indicating to her not to be affected by Cole. Gu Mengmeng smiled and held Lee's hand back. Only then did Leah feel at ease. You obtained the soul of the forest and activated the Beast King bloodline. Isn't this announcing to the beast world that as long as you snatch that pearl from Qi Xian, you can activate the Beast King bloodline just like you? Are you protecting him or pushing him into the teeth of the storm? Cole rubbed his nose and laughed helplessly. I really can't explain myself. Raising his head, Cole looked straight into Gu Mengmeng's eyes and said, I don't mind if Gu hates me or hates me, but I will not be the scapegoat. I did not snatch the soul of the forest, it was little Xian who schemed against me and forced it on me. Gu Mengmeng was so angry that she laughed. She looked at Cole coldly and said, Are you telling me that it was Qi Xian who cried and begged you to accept the soul of the forest to activate the Beast King bloodline and then went against me? Cole nodded in acknowledgement. Gu Mengmeng let out a long sigh and said, Can you be more reliable when you're spouting nonsense? Cole sighed. Qi Xian took the opportunity when I was not around to instigate Canwood to lead his men to take over the territory of the stray beasts camp. Do you know about this? Gu Mengmeng did not respond and just stared coldly at Cole. Cole could tell from Gu Mengmeng's expression that she knew. Thus, she continued, I went to see Qi Xian after I returned, hoping that he would hand over the territory of the stray beast camp. After all, he is your precious son. Even if I don't give him face, I have to give him face. I have to be polite before resorting to force. But little Xian told me that there was a fruit that you liked to eat in the stray beasts camp. So he was determined to get that territory and would not return it. But in order to keep the peace, he was willing to give me the soul of the forest to help me activate the Beast King bloodline. That way, I would not have to flee at the mere sight of you and not dare to go near you. This was too tempting for me, so I agreed. Chapter 1370. Cole looked at Gu Mengmeng's expression and gave a bitter smile helplessly. He ruffled his hair and said, "Little Xian really guessed it right. You don't believe a single word I said. The trick I used on you in the past was used by Xian once again. He used it better than me and was more ruthless than me. From the looks of it now, it can be said that the student has surpassed his predecessor. Forget it, I'll take the blame for this. Just treat it as me forcefully snatching Xian, soul of the forest, and pushing him into a dangerous situation. But now that I have protected him, can this be considered as making up for my mistake? Return my sons to me," Gu Mengmeng said coldly. Cole smiled and said, "Ah Gu, if I return them to you, can you take care of them? I heard that you have to go to the Moda Mountains to retrieve the love of the sky during the dry season and then reproduce for ninth brother. You are so busy, do you still have time to take care of little Xian?" Gu Mengmeng said expressionlessly, "What does it have to do with you?" Cole maintained his kneeling position and looked up at Gu Mengmeng. "Ah Gu, of course I have to protect your weakness, so that you will not be threatened by others." Gu Mengmeng said, "You are the only one in the entire beast world who dares to use my sons to force me." Cole smiled and nodded, as if he had been awarded a Good Citizen award. He said with a face full of honor, "Others use your weakness to threaten you, to make use of you or hurt you. But I have everyone in my hands to guide you to the correct path." Gu Mengmeng said, "You and I have different paths. The correct path in your eyes is definitely not the one I want to take." With that, Gu Mengmeng handed Leah to Elvis and walked to Cole's side. She squatted down and looked at him at eye level. "You dare to wait for me here because you think you are already a beast king and don't need to be afraid of me, right?" Cole did not say anything and just looked at Gu Mengmeng with a face full of bliss. This was one of the few times she took the initiative to approach him. Gu Mengmeng continued. "But don't forget, even if you become a beast king, you are still a lowly stray beast deep down. And unfortunately, I have become the master of the stray beasts for some unknown reason. So, you should be afraid of me. You should hide in the gutter as usual, and flee the moment you smell me in the air. That way, you might be able to keep your lowly life. Because I'm someone you can't afford to offend." With that, Gu Mengmeng's fingers pressed into Cole's right chest. That was where she had dug a hole. Gu Mengmeng knew that the soul of the forest was there. She reached her palm into Li's chest and stirred his flesh and blood. She felt the soul of the forest but did not take it out directly. Gu Mengmeng laughed coldly. "Return my sons to me and you can continue being the Beast King. Otherwise, I wonder what will happen to a person who stands at the peak and falls down? Alright, I'll return it." Cole endured the excruciating pain in his chest and maintained his sinister smile. Gu Mengmeng retracted her hand from Cole's chest and turned to walk to Li's side. She looked back at Cole and said, "Also, I don't like it when someone acts like a beast king in front of my man. Don't forget, you, the king, are under my feet." Chapter 1371. Leah held Gu Mengmeng's little hand and frowned, sighing softly. "How many times have I told you? Don't dirty your own hands." Gu Mengmeng looked at her bloodied hands and pouted, her face full of disdain. Elvis had already brought a basin of hot water down, then carried Gu Mengmeng out of Li's arms and placed her on his chest. Leah then dipped the animal's skin in the basin in the water, carefully washing Gu Mengmeng's hands. Meanwhile, the wound on Cole's chest was healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. His eyes were fixated on Gu Mengmeng without blinking. Gu Mengmeng glanced sideways at Cole and said, "Now that you know your own capabilities, don't provoke me again. Qixuan's life is tied to you, so I won't kill you. But I don't mind experimenting with the Qing dynasty's 10 greatest tortures on you, making you wish you were dead. If you're smart, hurry and return my son to me, then disappear from my sight. Gu Mengmeng glared coldly at Cole, who had just regained some strength, but he instantly knelt down again. Gu Mengmeng chuckled. I've said before, I don't like you calling me that disgusting way. Cole smiled without saying a word. He just looked at Gu Mengmeng quietly, as if he was admiring Gu Mengmeng's sinister expression and thought it was extremely beautiful. Gu Mengmeng took a deep breath and kept telling herself not to be calculative with a pervert. Never try to understand what a pervert was thinking. Leah pinched Gu Mengmeng's little chin. Don't dirty your hands again after you've just washed them clean, understand? Gu Mengmeng nodded and did not say another word. She just nestled in Elvis's arms and did not look at Cole anymore. Leah walked to Cole while wagging his tail. He reached out to help Cole up. Great Fox King, please don't blame us. Our little female is used to being willful. Cole narrowed his eyes and curled his lips coldly. He did not say a word. Gu was his. A mere loser dared to act like a male owner in front of him? Overestimating himself. Brushing Lee's hand away, Cole maintained his usual demeanor and arrogance as the city lord of Sauter. Of course I won't be angry with Gu. Whatever Gu does, in my eyes, it's all good. Leah continued to smile appropriately, elegant yet distant. He said mildly, then, may I ask, Fox King, when do you intend to return my cub? Cole looked past Leah and at Gu Mengmeng, replying, on the day winter ends, I will return Gu's 3 sons. Right now, it's snowing heavily. Level 1 orcs and level 2 orcs can't walk in the snow. Leah nodded. Great Fox King is very thoughtful. We shall do as you say. Cole was on his guard against Lee's humble attitude. There were many old and new grudges between them and Leah should not be speaking to him with such an attitude. Leah didn't seem to notice Cole's scrutinizing gaze. He just grinned and said, then, may I know if the Fox King has any other instructions for this visit? Cole smiled and said, so what if I do? So what if I don't? Leah said, if there is, please tell me. If not, then my little female needs to rest, please leave. Cole asked, what if I don't leave? Chapter 1372. Cole's expression froze, as if something had suddenly cleared up in his mind. That's right, why did Qixuan beat around the bush? He gave him the soul of the forest and purposely provoked him to come to Sauter to look for Gu Mengmeng. Was it just to make Gu Mengmeng hate him? No, that fellow would never do such a senseless thing. Could it be? Cole stood up and dashed into the snowstorm without looking back. He swaggered off. Gu Mengmeng looked at Leah in confusion. Could it be that Qixuan really schemed against him? Would it spoil Qixuan's plans if we let him go like this? Should I let him stay for a little longer to buy some time for Qixuan? Leah shook his head and chuckled. He looked at the snowstorm and said, Gu, although I don't want to admit it, Cole has really taught Qixuan well. Among the 4 children, he is probably the one you don't need to worry about the least. What do you mean? Gu Mengmeng didn't understand. Leah waved his tail and returned to Gu Mengmeng's side. Don't worry, Qixuan will be fine. And after this incident, Cole will probably be busy with his own matters and won't have the time to find trouble with you. You mean, he will turn around to deal with Qixuan? Leah nodded. It was Qixuan who caught Cole's tail and forced him to turn around to deal with him. Just based on this trick, I dare to conclude that Qixuan is definitely not someone who can be manipulated by others. He has the ruthlessness of the wolf tribe and the cunning of the fox tribe. He has also learned many things from you that he never had in the beast world. Even if he can't win Cole can't do anything to him. Your concern for him is his life-saving charm. Cole will never kill him in order to restrain you. This is his undefeatable bargaining chip. I guess that Cole has not only captured Qixuan, but also Kanwu and Jiaoyu. He must be trying to use those 2 brothers to counter Qixuan. Leah seemed to have thought of an interesting situation. He chuckled and continued. But Cole seems to have forgotten something important. Qi Xian was groomed by him and will not lose to anyone when it comes to heartlessness. It's impossible to deal with Qi Xian in the same way he dealt with you. Moreover, that fellow Jiaoyu did not give it away for nothing. Cole did not manage to catch Heda because Jiaoyu hit Heda in advance. That means. Gu Mengmeng looked at Li's meaningful gaze and tried to follow his train of thought. Then, she said, Qi Xian and the other 3 brothers had long communicated with each other and knew that this day would come. Jiaoyu purposely allowed himself to be captured. The 4 of them purposely cooperated to lure him into the trap. Leah nodded. Smart. So you purposely insisted on staying in the Moda Mountains for a month, just to keep Cole here for a month? Gu Mengmeng tilted her head and asked. Chapter 1373. So what is he trying to do? Gu Mengmeng felt as if her 3 rascals were about to head to Syria with nail clippers. She said worriedly, 2 second-level beasts and 1 first-level beast. The 3 of them are not enough to defeat Cole. Why don't we go and help him? Leah shook his head and patted Gu Mengmeng's shoulder lightly. He smiled. If Qi Xian wanted us to help, he would have told us the last time he came. But, before he left, he told me that he was worried that there would be too many people in Saint Nazaire and there would not be enough prey for everyone, so he prepared a portion of food for the mother beast and Zacharias. But seeing how well prepared you all are, there should not be any need for it. Just in case, I will tell you that if there is not enough food, you can go to Zacharias to get more. Gu Mengmeng blinked. What's wrong with that sentence? Doesn't it just sound like a normal instruction? Leah chuckled. That's what I thought at first too. But now that I think about it, Elvis can't wait to move all the prey in the forest back to the stone castle. Even a family of more than 10 people like Sandy would have enough food to last an entire winter. We only have 3 people in our family. Would there be a situation where there is not enough food and we have to go to Zacharias to get more? Gu Mengmeng glanced at Elvis's food storage room. Winter was already half over, but not even a fifth of the food had been consumed. She shook her head. I don't think so. Leah nodded. So, what Qi Xian meant was to tell me that if anything happens in Sauter, you can head to Zacharias. There is food prepared for you there and it can help you survive this winter safely. But, what could happen that would be so serious that you have to migrate in the middle of winter? Gu Mengmeng was silent for a moment. Her gaze landed on Miranda. The collective estrus of the snow foxes. Leah nodded again. But Qi Xian is a wolf. How would he know about the secret of the snow foxes going into estrus? How would he even know the exact time? Gu Mengmeng bit her lower lip. Cole? Leah pinched Gu Mengmeng's little nose. Smart. Then. So what does that rascal want? Gu Mengmeng was confused. Leah said, gather all the information we have. Cole wouldn't mention the snow foxes going into estrus to Qi Xian for no reason, so sending Miranda over was probably one of his plans. As for his motive, just like what he said, he wanted to make use of the snow foxes going into estrus to make me lose control and have sex with Miranda. This way, I will find that mating with her can increase my battle value. I want to quickly become stronger so that I can better protect you. Humans are always lazy. Once there is an easy way to become stronger, they can't help but sink into it. And at that time, you will definitely think that I am dirty and abandon me. In this way, Cole can enjoy my misery while tormenting you, and at the same time, achieve some of his hidden motives. Gu Mengmeng gritted her teeth and looked at Miranda with an increasingly cold gaze. Tugging at Li's arm, he said, when Gregory returns, let him throw this Miranda onto the Moda Mountains first. I don't want to see her. Chapter 1374. Gu Mengmeng took 2 deep breaths to calm herself down. She looked at Leah, waiting for him to continue his analysis. Leah played with Gu Mengmeng's fingers as he said nonchalantly, Qi Xian must have found out about this through some means, so he set up a trap. It's just that Qi Xuan's trap has not been fully developed, so I don't know what his exact plans are. Based on the current information, I can only deduce that he wants to use the 1-month gap between Cole waiting for you and Sauter to do something, and I feel that Gregory's return during winter to guard Sauter should have something to do with Qi Xian. Gu Mengmeng held her head and shook her head, saying, do you think Qi Xian has entered the rebellious phase? How dare he tie his legs to the gas tank? Leah hugged Gu Mengmeng and comforted her softly, don't worry too much. Thinking about how Qi Xian could use the soul of the forest to bewitch Cole and lure him to Sauter for a month, you can tell that this child is not simple. If he has any ulterior motives, even I will fall into his trap. Moreover, Jiaoyu is working with him at the side. Just like what you said, when the brothers are of one heart, their strength can cut through metal. The worst outcome would be them falling into Cole's hands, but Cole would not dare to kill them. Gu Mengmeng sighed and said, we can only wait now. Cole promised to return the 3 brothers to me after winter ends. If he dares to go back on his words, Leah knew that Gu Mengmeng could not say, kill him. It was not that she could not bear to part with Cole, but she could not bear to part with Qi Xian. Leah chuckled and said, I am more interested in the 10 greatest tortures of the Qing dynasty you mentioned just now. Why don't you tell me about it? Let me see if there are any that can be modified to be used on Cole. Gu Mengmeng was worried about her 3 sons and was filled with resentment towards Cole. Hence, she described the 10 greatest tortures of the Qing dynasty vividly through gritted teeth. Miranda, who was standing at the side, was so shocked that her eyes almost popped out. She did not dare to make a sound even though her wrist was in excruciating pain. Miranda started to feel terrified for the first time when she saw Leah, whom she thought was perfect, cooperating with Gu Mengmeng's words with a smile and even looking eager to try. The perfect male in her heart was far more sinister and vicious than the old man who had imprisoned her. Those torturing methods that she had never seen or heard of before, she could imagine the scene just by listening. Ah, no wonder Leah did not save her at that time. Compared to what Gu Mengmeng was saying, her days as a prisoner were too blissful. That night, Gregory returned to the stone castle with 2 bags of Xueling fruits. As Gu Mengmeng ate the Xueling fruits, she asked Gregory if he had said anything to Qi Xian in private before winter. Gregory thought that Gu Mengmeng was asking about Cole and did not dare to beat around the bush. He directly told Gu Mengmeng that Qi Xian had told him about Burke and that protecting her silently was also a form of love. Even if he could not get anything in return, he could at least do something for her. It was better than waiting day after day in vain and wasting his life waiting for a miracle that would never happen. Gu Mengmeng and Leah exchanged glances and thought to themselves that it was indeed Qishuan's doing for Gregory to guard Sauter during winter. This son, really could not be underestimated. Chapter 1375. Unexpectedly, Miranda did not pester Leah anymore. Instead, she eagerly expressed her willingness to go to Moda Mountains without waiting for winter to end. She said that she was a snow fox and could endure a few days' journey. Although Gu Mengmeng did not know that she had frightened Miranda with her vivid description of the 10 greatest tortures of the Qing dynasty because she was venting her hatred towards Cole, Gu Mengmeng was glad that Miranda did not pester Leah anymore. Hence, she took an empty wine barrel and even kindly covered it with a few layers of beast skin. She let Miranda crawl into the wine barrel and Gregory carried her back to Moda Mountains. Gu Mengmeng looked at Miranda, who was standing in the wine barrel with a face full of anxiety. She sighed and said, no matter how capable Cole is, he cannot fly to the sky. So you are relatively free and safe on Moda Mountains. Although the weather there is rather bad, as long as you treat your partners well, they will not let you suffer. But there is one thing you must remember. The birds are the most loyal followers of the beast deity. If you dare to create any trouble on Moda Mountains, I will not let you off. Miranda was already scared out of her wits by Gu Mengmeng. She shook her head and said, I will definitely live a peaceful life on Moda Mountains. I will not leave the mountains until I die. Great messenger, please don't worry. Gu Mengmeng nodded and said, that's for the best. Miranda nodded vigorously and said, will listen to you obediently. I will definitely listen to you. Gu Mengmeng glanced at Miranda's broken wrist and said, don't blame me for being ruthless. But I really don't like others touching my males. Miranda instinctively put her hands behind her back and nodded obediently. I know. Great Messenger has already shown me mercy and is exceptionally merciful. That's right, she didn't even use any moves like grooming, cooking, skinning, carving, or death by 1,000 cuts to deal with her. She only stepped on her wrist, and that was already very merciful. Gu Mengmeng did not understand Miranda's sudden gratitude, but she did not have the time to find out. She just watched as Gregory left. Winter passed quietly as Gu Mengmeng looked forward to it day after day. When the snow sealing the windows finally shattered, Gu Mengmeng's heart finally brightened up. Elvis carried Gu Mengmeng out of the stone castle and headed straight for the deity altar. There was a chair on the altar, which was Gu Mengmeng's exclusive seat. It symbolized her divine authority and could not be violated. This was the first hunt after winter since Elvis became the Wolf King. No matter what, he could not be careless. So even though Gu Mengmeng was concerned about the children, she did not show it on her face. She just followed the rules and looked at the females in the tribe one by one, asking them how many cubs they had this winter. In the end, Lacey from the Snow Fox tribe gave birth to 9 cubs and became the female with the most cubs for 2 consecutive years. Gu Mengmeng conferred the title of the first beauty of the tribe. Although there were many females in the Sauter tribe now, they were all sincerely convinced by this result. After all, who could be blamed if your stomach was not as good as hers? During the night campfire party, the 16 tribes came out on top. During the small rainy season, the Wolf tribe came out on top. Now that Lacey relied on her stomach to fight for the Snow Fox tribe, the 3 parties were now in a one-on-one situation. So, the next round of hunting undoubtedly became a competition. Chapter 1376. The females sat around the deity altar as usual, while Leah stayed by Gu Mengmeng's side, gentle and focused, as if he could not see anything else other than Gu Mengmeng. Sauter was different from Saint Nazir. Other than the witch doctor, there was no need to hunt here. The elders also did not participate in the first hunt, partly because they were old, and partly because they were proud of their nobility, unwilling to do those barbaric jobs. So, the elders stood on the first level, closest to Gu Mengmeng. He looked up at Leah, as if he had something to say, but did not dare to. Thinking about it, Gu Mengmeng's display of power over Miranda last year was enough, so they did not dare to spout nonsense in front of Gu Mengmeng now. Elder Eugene, why do you keep looking at my Leah like that? Gu Mengmeng expressed her displeasure. If he had something to say, he might as well say it directly. At least she could retort if he said it directly. He kept glancing at her, as if she owed him money and he did not dare to ask for it. How annoying. Elder Eugene cleared his throat and said, the first hunt concerns the offerings offered to the beast deity. It is an important ceremony for Sauter to express its loyalty to the beast deity, so I think that the 9th Highness should participate in the hunt. With the 9th Highness around, the Snow Fox clan will definitely be motivated and perform better. Oh. Gu Mengmeng chuckled and interrupted Eugene's words. She looked at him coldly and said, you are afraid that Elvis will lead the Wolf clan in the first hunt again, so you want to use Leah as a mascot to boost morale, so that the Snow Fox clan can compete with the Wolf clan, right? Elder Eugene's face froze. He felt a little guilty after his thoughts were exposed. After all, he had already offended Gu Mengmeng once because of Miranda. If it was not necessary, he really did not want to have a conflict with Gu Mengmeng. But helplessly, his name was called out. However, Elder Eugene did not know that Gu Mengmeng only knew the faces of the elders, but could not remember most of their names. This Elder Eugene's performance was too outstanding during the Miranda incident, so she remembered his name. So all the elders were looking at Leah, but Gu Mengmeng only called out his name. Gu Mengmeng sneered and leaned lazily into Lee's arms, saying, but, doesn't your Fox clan have a beast king? If you want to raise our morale, why don't you go look for your beast king? Ever since I came to Sauter, didn't all of you just follow your beast king's instructions and brush me off? Don't tell me you can't find him now. When the elders heard this, their faces immediately turned green. They had already confirmed that the Fox clan had a beast king during the winter. But it was hard to tell whether the beast king was happy or angry. He had always been going against the messenger of the beast deity, but he did not allow others to betray her or defy her. He would kill anyone who angered her. This made the group of elders very helpless, and they did not know what to do to comply with the Beast King's wishes. Now that Gu Mengmeng mentioned this matter, she must be angry, right? If she were to get angry, the wrath of the Beast King might descend upon them. Thinking of this, the few old fellows trembled as they lowered their bodies and knelt together. The females of the Snow Fox clan were just as afraid as the elders. Their faces were pale and they lowered their heads guiltily. Their fingertips and hair were trembling slightly. Chapter 1377. Previously in Saint Nazaire, she had impregnated Maya, but Gu Mengmeng had immediately noticed that there was something wrong with Maya's body scent. Moreover, Saint Nazaire only had Leah as a snow fox. Once Maya gave birth, Gu Mengmeng would immediately notice that something was wrong. But Sauter was different. There were only snow foxes here, and the purity of the fox seductive fragrance was so high when they were in heat. Gu Mengmeng could not smell anything from the females, and it would be normal for them to give birth to snow foxes in the future. Gu Mengmeng could not tell which child was Cole's. Damn it, what was Cole trying to do? Gu Mengmeng's brain worked furiously, but her face remained expressionless. She just smiled faintly. Don't panic, don't be afraid. Although I am the messenger of the beast deity, I do not have the right to stop you from following your beast king. Following the beast king is the innate nature of the beasts. I will not do something so inhumane and force you to not get close to Cole. It's just that. I can't be fickle, eating from the boss's grain and sleeping in the West's bed. Listening to Cole's arrangements, you want to make use of my man to help you gain face. You guys have taken all the advantages in this world, you can't be so greedy, you will be punished by the heavens. Ah, Gu is right. A familiar voice came from the crowd. Gu Mengmeng looked over and saw Cole returning with Qi Xian, Kanwu and Jiaoyu. The four of them were in a strange state. They did not seem to be at each other's throats. Instead, they looked like an elder who had just returned from an outing with his 3 children. Gu Mengmeng instinctively sat up straight, her gaze fixed on her 3 sons. Only after confirming that they were not injured or crippled did the suffocating feeling in her chest dissipate. Greetings to the mighty Beast King. The elders of the Snow Fox clan were already kneeling on the ground. Now, even the females were kneeling down, paying their respects to Cole. Cole ignored them. He just stood in front of the deity altar and made a gesture of invitation. Young master, please return to your mother's side. Don't let her worry. Qi Xian and his brothers also ignored Cole. They just leaped onto the deity altar and walked to Gu Mengmeng's side. They held her hands. Mother, we are back. Gu Mengmeng had a stomach full of questions but did not say a single word. She just nodded and smiled. Cole turned around and directly knelt in front of everyone. He bowed to Gu Mengmeng and said, "Your subordinate Cole leads the Snow Fox clan to pay his respects to the great messenger." Gu Mengmeng glanced sideways, wondering what Cole was up to again. Qi Xian patted Gu Mengmeng's arm, gesturing with his eyes for her to accept Cole's worship. Gu Mengmeng did not understand and turned to look at Leah. Leah gave Gu Mengmeng a smiling look, indicating for her to trust Qi Xian. Hence, Gu Mengmeng unwillingly replied, "Yeah." Qi Xian then shook Gu Mengmeng's arm in a coquettish manner, as if he was begging Gu Mengmeng to put up a good front. Gu Mengmeng sighed and pulled the corners of her lips into a smile. "Great Fox King, please get up." Chapter 1378. We will obey Lord Beast King's orders. The Snow Fox clan is loyal to Lord Messenger. Heaven and earth can testify. The continuous shouts of oaths were quite inspiring, as if everyone knew something. Only Gu Mengmeng, who was being pledged loyalty to, was dumbfounded, not knowing what was happening. Lord Fox King, since the elders of the Snow Fox clan are so concerned about this first hunt, why don't you join in the fun and see if you can boost their morale and defeat our wolf clan? Qi Xian stood beside Gu Mengmeng, smiling like an innocent child. But his words made the few old foxes from the Snow Fox clan turn green. No, no. The old foxes objected one after another. What kind of joke was this? Elvis and the rest had already walked for half a day and the distance between them had already widened. The two Beast Kings were equally powerful, but the Snow Fox clan was not as powerful as the Wolf clan, so it was impossible for them to overtake the Wolf clan. If they let Cole go now and the Wolf clan won, wouldn't that mean that the Snow Fox clan was not a match for the Wolf clan? Even with the Beast King, they still lost. In the future, they would definitely be suppressed by the wolves. They had to design a situation where they could win for sure before sending the Beast King up. They definitely could not let Cole lose to Elvis in his first battle. Qi Xian blinked his eyes and tilted his head in confusion. Didn't you just say to let my daddy Leah raise the morale? How could a mere ninth highness be as inspiring as a Beast King? I'm doing this for your own good. Why don't you agree? The elders were speechless. He couldn't possibly say that pushing Leah out to raise the morale of the people was just a pretense and that the real motive was to push all the blame to him when they lost, right? It would be best if he could intensify the family conflict between Leah and Elvis, causing Leah to be dissatisfied with Elvis. This way, he would be more reliant on the power of the Snow Fox clan and recognize his own identity. He would not put his family first in everything, but place the emphasis on his race first. Because only when his race was strong could he have a dominant position in his family. Moreover, he had to make Leah unhappy with Elvis first so that he could incite him to plot something in the future to get rid of Elvis and replace him. The first partner of the messenger of the beast deity should have been from the Snow Fox clan. This was his true motive, but he couldn't say it out loud. The elders looked at each other, speechless. Qi Xian looked at Gu Mengmeng. Gu Mengmeng placed one hand on the back of the chair and rested her chin on her palm. She looked at Qi Xian and said, since the Fox King is here, wouldn't it be a waste if we don't show off our skills? Although the werewolves have set off for a while now, they definitely have the advantage in terms of the overall number of prey. It would be unfair to let you join now. That's right, the elder said. Gu Mengmeng glanced at him from the corner of her eyes and he immediately kept quiet, not daring to say another word. Gu Mengmeng then continued, for the sake of fairness, let's not compete for the most this year, but the biggest. In the end, the person who provides the sacrifice to the beast deity will be the winner. Isn't this fair? Cole placed his right hand on his left chest and bowed towards Gu Mengmeng like a European knight swearing his loyalty. Then, he smiled and said, I don't care if it's fair or not. As long as it's something that Master wants me to do, I will do it. Lord, your beast Yunyang is, the hunt. This as is your hunting beastly, is Wu, you, I, beast. Chapter 1379. Your subordinate will obey. Cole bowed and turned to leave, heading towards the direction where the males had set off for the hunt. The elders were so anxious that they looked at Leah and asked, Your Ninth Highness, this. Leah waved his tail and said, Since the mighty Fox King is here, how can I, a mere Ninth Highness, be in charge of the tribe's matters? All the elders can just follow the Fox King. Sigh. The elders paced around and finally whispered to each other before following Cole's footsteps towards the direction of the hunt. Gu Mengmeng yawned and said, There will not be any results until night time. Females, go back to your own homes and the results will naturally be revealed during the night campfire party. Yes. None of the females dared to act rashly in front of Gu Mengmeng and naturally followed whatever she said. Leah carried Gu Mengmeng back to the stone castle and the three little ones exchanged glances before following behind him obediently. The moment they entered the house, Gu Mengmeng immediately turned around and placed her hands on her hips, activating the mode of facing your mother when you fail to advance in the examinations. Seeing this, Jiaoyu gave Kanwu a push and he immediately knelt down without a word. Pinching his ears with both hands, he said, Mother, I know I was wrong. Before Gu Mengmeng could question him, Kanwu's kneeling made Gu Mengmeng speechless. Gu Mengmeng poked Kanwu's head and said, A man's knees are worth gold. Who allowed you to kneel? Get up. Kanwu raised his head and said innocently, The last time I saw Bode teach a father beast, he said that if a female gets angry, she will not be angry if he kneels down and admits his mistake. Gu Mengmeng face-bombed. This was the lousy trick Bode taught Elvis when she chased Leah and Elvis out of the cave and forbade them from returning home. The 4 little ones were indeed present at that time, but it had been more than 2 years. These 4 were still buns then. TSK, why did he keep remembering these useless things instead of important matters? Mother, it's like this. This time, Qi Xian was the mastermind and I was an accomplice. Kanwa did not know the details and only followed because he did not want Qi Xian and I to take the risk alone. Since his fault was the lightest, we decided to push him out to take the beating. Mother, just hit him as you see fit. Once he calms down, Qi Xian and I will explain to you. Come, please do it. Gu Mengmeng looked at Jiaoyu and laughed in exasperation at this child. Kanwa did the least wrong, so why is he the one getting beaten up? Because I can take a beating. Kanwa explained to himself with an inexplicable sense of pride on his face. Jiaoyu smiled apologetically and wrapped his arms around Gu Mengmeng's arm, acting coquettishly. It's precisely because he made the smallest mistake that mother didn't hit him too hard. Moreover, Qi Xian and I are afraid of pain. So Kanwu isn't afraid of pain? Actually, as long as the 3 of them were safe, the anger in Gu Mengmeng's heart would dissipate by half. He had never thought of hitting his children. What's more, his 3 sons were already independent people. Other people's children would have left their parents and wandered the world when they were their age. He could do whatever he wanted, and his parents could no longer control him. Their child had done something dangerous outside, and when she came back, she had to appease her emotions. This was already very sensible. Chapter 1380. Gu Mengmeng tugged at Kanwu and said, "Stand up properly." Kanwu smiled sheepishly and stood up straight. He smiled apologetically and asked, "Mum, if you don't hit me, does that mean you won't be angry? You won't cry, right?" Gu Mengmeng suddenly recalled Leah saying that she had an ultimate weapon and all the males in the family were scared to death. She didn't understand it then, but now it dawned on her. Her ultimate weapon was her tears? Right, there was really such a thing. As a mother, she used her tears to force her son into a cowardly dog. Why are you crying? Do I look like someone who likes to cry so much? Huh? Gu Mengmeng pinched Kanwa's ears and said, "You rascal, better listen carefully. You are all wolves, do you understand? You should have pride and integrity. If I see you kneeling down again, I will break your legs." Kanwa nodded seriously before asking again, "Left leg or right leg?" "Both legs." Gu Mengmeng was furious. Who did this brat take after? At times like this, shouldn't she just reply, "I got it, yes 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 yes"? Would that do? She still dared to ask if it was left leg or right leg? This was simply asking for a beating. Leah hugged Gu Mengmeng's waist and said, "You said it so harshly, but I wonder who it was." On the Moda Mountains, the moment she heard that the children were in Cole's hands, she was so scared that she cried and threw a tantrum. She even jumped off the cliff and threatened to kill herself, forcing Gregory to bring her back to Solder to save her sons. TSK. If not for Gregory's quick reflexes, I'm afraid he wouldn't have the chance to break their legs in the future. Li's casual words made the 3 Qi Xian brothers tremble with fear. Kanwu was a man of action. He directly snatched the person from Li's arms and turned her left and right to take a closer look. He was so anxious that his brows were tightly knitted together. "Mum, are you injured? Does it hurt anywhere?" Aya, you call me a tiger and rash every day. Now I finally know who I took after." Gu Mengmeng was dizzy from being turned around by Kanwu. She raised her hand and knocked his head. "What are you saying? I am your mother." "I know, how can I not know you?" Kanwu sighed helplessly. Then, he was suddenly shocked. He held Gu Mengmeng's head and looked at it carefully. Oh no, I don't know if she hurt her brain. Little bastard. You're the one who broke your head. Gu Mengmeng felt like crying but no tears would come out. She slapped Kanwa's hand away and said, "Your father protected me well and Gregory caught us with one hand. I did not fall at all." Kanwu then heaved a sigh of relief. He looked at Gu Mengmeng worriedly and asked, "Really?" Gu Mengmeng exclaimed, "Ah, really?" Kanwu hesitated for a moment, then stretched out 3 fingers and asked, "How many are these?" Gu Mengmeng held her forehead and said lifelessly, "3." Kanwu was finally relieved. He hugged Gu Mengmeng and said, "Thank the heavens, you really didn't break anything. My mother, my dear mother, you can't do such a reckless thing in the future." "How old are you?" "Huh? How could they not consider the consequences of their actions? Tell me, how can we work hard in the future with peace of mind? We were so worried. We didn't even see and Mum was gone." Chapter 1381. "Oh, Mummy, I know I was wrong, really. Kanwu pretended to be in pain as he begged for mercy. His exaggerated manner made Gu Mengmeng forget why she was angry in the first place. Jiaoyu and Qixuan exchanged glances and finally felt at ease. They heaved a sigh of relief. "Mummy, sorry for making you worry about us." Gu Mengmeng sighed and hugged Jiaoyu and Qixuan, before saying, "All right, tell me, why did you guys get involved with coal?" "Mummy, do you know about the 7 treasures?" Qixuan asked calmly. Gu Mengmeng nodded. "I know." Qixuan sorted out his words before replying. "Coal knows too." Gu Mengmeng did not understand. It was not strange for Cole to know about the 7 treasures. She already knew about it. Qixuan continued. "Not only does he know, he also believes that once the 7 treasures are gathered, they can open the doors of time and space." Gu Mengmeng bit her lower lip and nodded. "This is also true." Qixuan's face darkened. He was not surprised, but it seemed like his last bit of hope had been shattered. Qixuan sighed without a trace. "According to my observations and conjectures, Cole's goal is to open the doors of time and space and lead the orcs to transmigrate to that dimension." Gu Mengmeng looked at Qixuan in shock. She instinctively covered her mouth. "Is he crazy? If the orcs appear in that world, it will definitely cause panic. And the orcs will definitely be the ones to suffer in the end." Qixuan shook his head. "Cole doesn't think so. He studied the previous messenger of the beast deity and you. He realized that although both of you have smart minds, you do not have strong physiques. He thinks that he is smart enough to fight against you. So as long as there are enough orcs, he is confident that he can conquer that world. The orcs are restricted by a hierarchy. So even if they reach that world, no one will dare to defy him. Then, he will be the deity that rules that world." Gu Mengmeng face-bombed. She did not know if she should curse out loud. Leah stood behind Gu Mengmeng. He gently rubbed her temples. "What did you think of? Why do you have such an expression?" Gu Mengmeng sighed and said, "I just want to ask, why do you aliens always want to occupy Earth when our Earth is spinning and rolling around on its own? Let me tell you, aliens who are tens of thousands of years ahead of you in terms of intelligence brought destructive weapons to attack Earth, but they were still beaten back by the superheroes of the Avengers. As for you, who only have sharp claws and fangs, if you go there, you will either be captured into a research institute to be dissected and used as an experimental specimen, or locked up in a zoo to be exhibited. A god that rules over the world. You must be crazy." Leah, Qixuan and Jiaoyu exchanged a look before asking softly, "Is there absolutely no chance of winning?" Gu Mengmeng nodded and said, "I guarantee that if Cole appears on Earth with his orc army, they will all be wiped out in less than an hour. Game over." Chapter 1382. Although the orcs all had international faces, their common language was Chinese. This might have something to do with the fact that the previous messenger of the beast deity was a Chinese, so Leah could not understand Gu Mengmeng's English. But this did not prevent him from understanding Gu Mengmeng's expressions and actions, so he could more or less understand what she was trying to express. His hands gently slid down and landed on Gu Mengmeng's shoulders, using just the right amount of strength. As he needed, he said, since it's a dead end, let him be. It's a clean death over there, and saves us the trouble. Gu Mengmeng shook her head and said, you don't know how advanced the technology in our world is, and how crazy they are. Once they discover Cole's secret, they may use all methods to find a way to reverse the doors of time and space. By then, I'm afraid it won't be Cole occupying the Earth, but the Earth will attack the beast world and develop this place into their second home. By then, Gu Mengmeng could not continue and just furrowed her brows. It was as if she could see orc corpses strewn all over the place, and the forests and rivers here would be replaced by concrete skyscrapers. The current blue sky and white clouds would eventually be tainted by haze, and males and females 10 meters away, and humans and beasts 100 meters away. I often scold Cole as a pervert, saying that he is mentally twisted, dark and filthy, but I have never told you that humans are even more twisted, uglier and filthier than Cole. And that kind of human heart can be found everywhere in the world we live in. To achieve their goals, they can do things even crazier than Cole. And I definitely do not wish for our current home to become their target one day. Leah did not care what would become of the beast world. He only knew that Gu Mengmeng was worried and frowning. Gently stroking Gu Mengmeng's brows, Leah smiled and said, don't worry, I will not let anyone destroy the home you love. So, we just have to stop Cole, right? Gu Mengmeng sighed and nodded, saying, we cannot let Cole succeed, definitely not. Alright, I will definitely not let him succeed. Leah promised. Leah patted Gu Mengmeng lightly, then looked at Qi Xian. Continue. You discovered Cole's secret, and then? Qi Xian looked at Gu Mengmeng, then continued, among the 7 treasures, the tear of the beast deity, kiss of the ocean, soul of the forest and heart of the desert have already appeared. The remaining love of the sky and spirit of the rocky cliffs were protected by the beast deity's boundary, so you could only take them. Cole knew that you were going to look for the love of the sky during the dry season, so he planned to lure you to take the spirit of the rocky cliffs next year. When these 2 items appear in the world, all that's left is the Beast King's key. Gu Mengmeng instinctively covered her stomach, putting on a defensive posture. Qi Xian chuckled and shook his head in exasperation. Cole also knows that after what happened to me, you will definitely protect your child better. The chances of him snatching a child from 2 Beast King families is basically 0, so, he plans to give birth to a child with the bloodline of a Beast King to be the key of the Beast King. This winter, the Snow Fox clan's collective estrus is the opportunity he chose. Chapter 1383. At the mention of Cole just now, all the females lowered their heads guiltily, which meant that all of them could have had an affair with Cole during the winter. Lexi alone had given birth to 9 little foxes this year. Including the other females, there would be a total of 23 snow fox cubs born this year. Damn it, did she have to kill all 23 cubs just to stop Cole? Then what was the difference between her and Cole? Wasn't they both going crazy for their own goals? Qi Xian tugged at Gu Mengmeng's arm. Mum, don't worry. Let me finish. Gu Mengmeng looked up at Qi Xian, waiting for him to continue. Qi Xian said, Jiaoyu and I spent a month to set up a trap, then used the medicinal bug that Cole had used on Daddy Leah on him. Medicinal bug? You mean the one that causes people to lose their minds? Gu Mengmeng asked in confusion. Qi Xian nodded. Daddy Leah had taught Jiaoyu the method to activate the medicinal bug. And I know how to use the fox seductive fragrance. Gu Mengmeng looked at Qi Xian in shock. The fox seductive fragrance was something from the snow fox tribe. How could a wolf like Qi Xian know how to use it? Moreover, if your 3-year-old son told you that he knew how to use the aphrodisiac, you would also be dumbfounded. Qi Xian looked at Gu Mengmeng's speechless expression and smiled. Mum, don't think too much. I just used the fox seductive fragrance and bewitching spell to make Cole forget. You know bewitching spells too? Gu Mengmeng was even more shocked. Qi Xian lowered his head and chuckled. You and Cole are probably the 2 best at using bewitching spells in this world. Both of you have used it in front of me before. If you still can't learn it, then you are really too stupid. Gu Mengmeng's heart skipped a beat. She pursed her lips and looked at Qi Xian guiltily. You know that I used bewitching spells on you? Qi Xian nodded honestly. I know. Then. Gu Mengmeng's entire body shrank. She didn't dare to look at Qi Xian in the eyes. Qi Xian squatted down and placed his hand on Gu Mengmeng's knee. It was useful at the start. I really forgot about Cole. But to me at that time, Cole had taken up most of my memories. After forgetting about him, my memory was filled with a huge blank space and I couldn't understand many things no matter how hard I tried. So, slowly, the bewitching spell lost its effect. But even so, there was one thing that I remembered very clearly. Mom, when you were crying, my heart felt like it was being squeezed by sharp claws. The pain was so painful that it was engraved in my heart and I would never forget it. So, I swear, I will never do anything to make you cry again. So don't worry, even though I remember everything, I will not return to Cole's side. Really? Gu Mengmeng's eyes turned red. Qi Xian frowned and said, Don't cry. If you cry, I will immediately go and look for Cole. Gu Mengmeng rubbed her eyes hard and shook her head. I'm not crying, I'm not crying. Qi Xian then smiled and gave Gu Mengmeng a big hug. So, Mom, don't worry. I am very clear about what I am doing now. I am not staying by your side because of your bewitching spell. It is because I am your son and you are my mother. I can't bear to see you cry, so I am staying. Chapter 1384. After calming Gu Mengmeng down, Qi Xian continued, to prevent a situation like mine from happening again, we only tampered with a small portion of Cole's memories. We did not delete or change too much of it. Gu Mengmeng asked, What did you change? Qi Xian smiled and squinted his eyes. Mom, can I not say it? Gu Mengmeng shook her head resolutely. I know this is very annoying and will make you feel that I am over-monitoring you. But sorry, all mothers in this world are the same. Qi Xian lowered his head and smiled. It's not that I feel there is a problem with you over-monitoring me. The problem is that I am afraid that if I say it, your partners will kill me. Gu Mengmeng face-bombed. Ah, you really did something to cause trouble. It's alright, just say it. If your beast father and Leah want to kill you, I will cry. Leah sighed in exasperation. That's why I am not willing to tell you what your ultimate weapon is. Gu Mengmeng looked up at Leah helplessly. But I can't just watch you and Elvis kill my son, right? Leah poked Gu Mengmeng's little head. Biased. Gu Mengmeng did not deny it. She just squinted her eyes and smiled. Qi Xian cleared his throat. Since that's the case, I will tell you the truth. Say it. Gu Mengmeng sat down and held Qi Xuan's hand. She was all ears. Qi Xian pursed his lips and chuckled. I magnified Cole's possessiveness towards you. I even hinted to him that he loves you. Cough, 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 cough. Gu Mengmeng choked on Qi Xuan's words. She looked at him with a confused expression. Leah also raised his eyebrows. He did not say anything else and was about to strike. Qi Xian hurriedly hugged Gu Mengmeng. Mum, let me finish first. Gu Mengmeng held on to Leah. She took 2 deep breaths to calm herself down. She said in a lifeless tone, Say it, in Cole's original plan, he wanted to obtain you so that he could use you to open the doors of time and space. To achieve this, he first had to assimilate you. He had to pull you into his mindset and behavior. Only then would you feel that what he was doing was right. Only then would you help him complete what he wanted to do. Qi Xian finished in one breath. Then, he took another deep breath. From the moment he poisoned me and held me hostage, his motive was not to threaten you, but to force you to abandon me. This proves that you and he are the same kind of person. As long as someone hinders you, you can eliminate them even if they are your family. Just like how he treated Daddy Leah and the First Highness of the Snow Fox clan. But no matter how much you've been hindered because of me, you've never given up on me. You'd rather compromise yourself over and over again, but you've never thought of taking the simplest path of killing me to end everything. Gu down him down. Xian down Qishuan's. Mengmeng's face. I, you, I, and. Chapter 1385. So when we were in Zacharias, I volunteered to stay behind to fight Leonard. A first-level orc challenging a fourth-level orc is courting death. I thought I was doomed, but you used the soul of the forest to save me. Qi Xian looked up at Gu Mengmeng, his eyes filled with admiration and attachment. He, who rarely revealed his emotions, now looked extremely emotional. He rubbed his handsome face against Gu Mengmeng's arm and said, "Mum, your maternal love is too great. For me, you don't seem to have any bottom line at all. You don't even blink when you use any precious things on me. In order to protect me, you can swallow any grievances. But I'm still constantly making you angry, making you sad, and saying things that deserve a beating." Gu Mengmeng rubbed Qishuan's little head and said, "No, you are only like this because Cole used his bewitching spell on you. You are not a bad child. Even now, you are still defending me. Mum, you are probably the most gentle mother in the world." Qi Xian knelt by Gu Mengmeng's feet and continued, "Cole realized that your love for me was boundless and it was impossible to force you to kill me, so he sent Miranda over." Gu Mengmeng's eyes widened. Gu Mengmeng raised her eyebrows and looked at Qi Xian. Qi Xian smiled and said, "He knows that you treasure Daddy Leah, so he specially sent Miranda over to annoy you. He hopes that Daddy Leah and Miranda will have an amicable relationship, and then you will kill them. That way, he can prove that you are the same kind of person as him and that all traitors deserve to die, and then it should be, you cannot wait for others to betray you before you kill them. In order not to be betrayed, you must first kill everyone who might betray you." It seems like he learned something from the words left behind by the previous messenger of the beast deity, something like, "I would rather betray others." Gu Mengmeng thought for a moment and said, "Would rather betray the world than let the world betray me." Qi Xian nodded and said, "Yes, that seems to be it." Gu Mengmeng laughed coldly and said, "Is this Cole trying to learn from Cao Cao? Well, Cao Cao's way of dying is quite special. Maybe it suits him." Qi Xian did not pester Gu Mengmeng to ask about Cao Cao. He just kept it in mind. After settling Cole's matter, he would invite Gu Mengmeng to Zacharias for the winter. Then, he could slowly listen to Gu Mengmeng tell him these stories. But Cole did not expect Daddy Leah to resist such a strong temptation and not touch Miranda. "You didn't kill Miranda either. You just sold her." Qi Xian heaved a sigh of relief and continued, "Based on Cole's personality of not giving up until he reaches his goal, he will definitely try again after failing this time. And his moves will be more disgusting and vicious every time. I'm worried that once you fall for his dirty tricks, it'll be hard for you to get away. That's why I set up this trap and changed his thoughts about you." Gu Mengmeng looked at Qi Xian in exasperation. "Do you think that as long as he falls in love with me, he will not scheme against me or hurt me? But my silly son, do you really think that someone like Cole knows what love is?" Qi Xian shook his head and said, "He is not worthy of loving you." Leah nodded in agreement. Qi Xian had said all day and this was the most pleasing to the ear. Chapter 1386. Gu Mengmeng sighed. If she had known earlier, she would not have used Sun Tzu's Art of War and 36 stratagems to enlighten the children. She had been hot-headed at that time and thought that since the Snow Fox tribe loved to give up their esoterica, she would just carve one for them. To prevent the next messenger of the beast deity from treating her as a joke, she decided to give up on Wang Xiaoxin's 300 poems of the Tang dynasty and carve the 36 stratagems instead, mainly to make it look more impressive. At that time, she really did not expect that the things she used to act cool would cause her son to be so daring to take such a risk to meddle in Cole's affairs. Holding her forehead, Gu Mengmeng decided not to casually act cool anymore. Even if she wanted to, she could not do it in front of the children. Qi Xian did not know what Gu Mengmeng was thinking about and just continued, "No matter how I thought about it, the only thing that could make Cole go crazy was probably the matter of opening the doors of time and space. Although I do not know what the doors of time and space are, I know that if it is something that Cole wants to do, you would definitely not want to see it. So using this to provoke him would definitely not work. After thinking about it, he spent the most effort on you to open the doors of time and space. Step by step, he did things that looked like it was for your own good. He gave you all the things that looked beneficial on the surface, hoping to win your heart and make you like him. Although he had an ulterior motive, it was also true that he had spent so much effort on you. But no matter what he did, you just did not like him. So to someone like Cole who thinks that he is more intelligent than others and is unparalleled in the world, it was definitely a big blow. As a male, to a certain extent, he would definitely want to hunt you. So I used the fox seductive fragrance to confuse his mind. But just like what you said, Cole does not know what love is. So I could only magnify his possessiveness towards you and lead him to believe that possessiveness is love. Qi Xian grinned at Leah and said, I dared to do that because I believe that Daddy Leah would definitely not let him succeed. Leah snorted coldly and said, You placed my female in that position and forcefully dragged me down with you? You don't have to flatter me now, and I can't just stand by and watch. But kid, I'll remember this debt first, and we'll slowly settle it in the future. Qi Xian shrugged his shoulders and looked at Jiaoyu. Jiaoyu chuckled and took a step forward. He placed both hands on Li's shoulders and said, Daddy Leah, don't be so stubborn. You can't do anything to the four of us. Because no matter what, my mother's heart is always on our side. Leah gritted his teeth. What was the meaning of the Wheel of Fortune? What did the heavenly Tao mean by reincarnation? How many people had he ridiculed with these words in the past? Even Snake was infuriated by this sentence. Now, the person who had infuriated him back then was being infuriated. Moreover, how similar was Jiaoyu's expression to his in the past? Yeah, I like it when you can't stand me but can't get rid of me. Chapter 1387. Once he is completely controlled by the bug. Qi Xian chuckled. His gaze landed on Li's face. Daddy Leah will naturally have a way to make him obedient and not dare to cause any more trouble. But he is so suspicious. How could he not discover that you had planted the bug in his body? Back then, your daddy Leah had removed it because he discovered it himself. I guess that Cole must have the ability to do so. Gu Mengmeng really did not think that Cole would be so easily controlled. With his cautiousness, he would have immediately become suspicious the moment he realized that he could not control his emotions. Qi Xian said innocently, We did not plant the bug in his body. He did it himself. Gu Mengmeng frowned and looked at Qi Xian in confusion. Qi Xian pointed at his own forehead. Gu Mengmeng was suddenly enlightened. Soul of the forest? Qi Xian nodded. I first placed the bug on my forehead. This bug loves to bite plants by nature, so it naturally found its way to the soul of the forest. And Cole was the one who took the soul of the forest from my forehead and placed it in his right chest. The three of us never touched him. Gu Mengmeng frowned. Even though Qi Xian was speaking so casually, was Cole such a scheming person? This winter, her three sons must not have had an easy time in Cole's hands. But it was obvious that these three fellows would never tell the truth. No matter how much she pestered them, they would only answer perfunctorily. They would never tell her what they had done this winter. Sigh, children are all grown up and have their own ideas. They did not want to let what had already happened become a reason for her to cry. So they only presented a perfect outcome to her. But they did not know that the more she did not know the process, the more she would let her imagination run wild. Humans' greatest fear often came from their own imagination and speculations. She forced a smile. Her children were not willing to let her worry, so how could she bear to let them worry for her? So Gu Mengmeng could only convince herself that it was fine as long as her three sons were fine. She would not ask about what her children did not want to say. She would always remember that Cole had bullied her sons. She would just get revenge in the future. In the evening, noises could be heard from outside and Gu Mengmeng knew that the first hunters had returned. Leah carried Gu Mengmeng and brought his 3 sons out of the stone castle, walking towards the deity altar. On both sides of the path, the Snow Fox clan and the Wolf clan formed a distinct standoff. Gu Mengmeng laughed coldly. Cole's arrival had indeed intensified the conflict between the Snow Fox clan and the Wolf clan. Everyone had a beast king, so no one was willing to concede. On the altar, Elvis and Cole stood on each side, each with a huge wild beast in front of them. Both of them stood there calmly, as if they did not care about winning or losing. Instead, the 2 groups of people below the stage were pushing and shouting at each other, giving off the feeling of street fights in old Hong Kong movies. Gu Mengmeng frowned and said coldly, creating trouble during the sacrificial ceremony for the first hunt, "You guys are really looking down on me, the messenger of the beast deity." Gu Mengmeng's voice was not loud, but it effectively stopped both parties from taking action. The wolves retreated to Elvis's side in unison, then bowed their heads respectfully. Queen. Chapter 1388. Gu Mengmeng did not bother with anyone and just let Leah support her up the altar like an empress dowager. She looked at Elvis and then at Cole, asking with a smile, "2 beast kings, can anyone tell me what happened?" Elvis walked to Gu Mengmeng and held her other arm, then said softly, "It's just the Wolf clan and Fox clan fighting over whose prey to use for the sacrifice." Gu Mengmeng sat on the chair on the altar and held her chin, saying, "Oh, all right, then you guys fight it out. Inform me when you have a result." Cole bowed and smiled, "Since the great messenger is already here, then let the great messenger make the decision." "Me? That's not appropriate," Gu Mengmeng said nonchalantly. Cole smiled and looked at Gu Mengmeng dotingly, saying, "The great messenger represents the beast deity and is a supreme being. Everything she says is right, what's inappropriate about it?" Gu Mengmeng nodded and said, "All right, then the Fox clan will have their prey for the sacrifice." The moment Gu Mengmeng finished speaking, the people from the Snow Fox clan raised their heads and puffed out their chests, looking at the Wolf clan who were still arguing with them with a provocative and contemptuous gaze. Although the Wolf clan was not convinced, it was the Queen's decision after all. Without the Wolf King expressing his stance, they did not dare to act rashly and could only lower their heads and bear with it. Gu Mengmeng saw everything and waited for the Fox clan to forget themselves before speaking again. "Warriors of the Wolf clan, carry your prey back to the stone castle with me. We will hold a night campfire party. Hudda, follow your brothers and carry your father's prey up. I want to bring it home to eat myself." In an instant, the atmosphere was tense and the faces of the Snow Fox clan froze. "Great messenger, this sacrifice cannot be without you." Elder Eugene wanted to block Gu Mengmeng's way, but was blocked by the people from the Wolf clan. He could not get close to Gu Mengmeng. Gu Mengmeng stopped in her tracks and said, "Don't you have the Fox King here?" When he was the leader of Sauter, he also hosted many sacrifices. He couldn't have forgotten how to host after wandering for a few years, right? But it doesn't matter. The next time I see the beast god, I'll explain it to him. It's not convenient for me, the Wolf clan's queen, to interfere with the Fox clan's affairs, so I asked the Fox King to manage it on my behalf. My father has always doted on me, so he won't blame me for being lazy. Eugene wanted to say something else, but Gu Mengmeng beat him to it. The sacrificial ceremony should be quite busy, I shall not waste your time. With that, Gu Mengmeng raised her head and shouted at the top of her lungs, "Loris, bring your tribesmen and come with me. Kiera has not seen you for a long time, let's go play together today." Lawrence was Kiera's beast mother. Ever since she placed Kiera in Sandy's house, she used the excuse of being a child to hang out with Sandy and gradually became familiar with Gu Mengmeng. Although the people from the 16 tribes were not as smart as the Snow Foxes, they still had this little bit of foresight. Hearing Gu Mengmeng call out Loris, they naturally understood that she was dragging the 16 tribes along with her to the campfire party with the Wolf tribe, leaving the Snow Foxes here alone to worship. Chapter 1389. In the past, Sauder's sacrificial ceremony also had such a lineup, and Cole was only a 5th-level beast then. But now, even though he was a beast king, the entire scene suddenly became cold and cheerless, making the Snow Fox clan feel especially awkward. Gu Mengmeng had made her stance clear. She meant that if the Snow Fox clan dared to fight with the Wolf clan in the future, she would lead the Wolf clan and the 16 tribes to play alone, leaving the Snow Fox clan out to dry. Mighty Beast King, this. Elder Eugene looked at Cole with a troubled expression. Cole chuckled and said, "No rush, take it slow. I have always been patient with Gu." 2 flowers bloomed, one on each side. Gu Mengmeng led her people back to the stone castle joyfully. The stone castle was built by the previous messenger of the beast deity, Wang Xiaoxin. After the messenger of the beast deity left, the successive tribe leaders stayed here. This was Sauder's iconic building and also the symbol of theocracy, so its style was naturally different from others. The large empty space at the entrance was no smaller than the area of the altar of deity. In addition, without the Snow Fox clan, the number of people was reduced by 1/3, so although the bonfire party was crowded, it still seemed especially lively. Gu Mengmeng purposely separated the Wolf clan from the 16 tribes and sat together. At the start, they were all guarded against each other and felt uneasy. Hada and his brothers were like butterflies jumping around the bonfire to liven up the atmosphere, and soon, the two sides became familiar with each other. To the Wolf clan, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. The enemy of the queen is the enemy of the Wolf king, and the enemy of the Wolf king is the enemy of the entire Wolf clan. Since the Wolf clan could not defeat the Fox clan alone, then it was naturally better to have more allies. For the 16 tribes, it was very difficult for them to survive in the gap between 2 tribes with beast kings. They did not think that they could fight against either the Wolf tribe or the Fox tribe. The best way was to rely on one of them and form an alliance with them. The so-called choice between the 2 tribes was actually a choice between the 2 beast kings. It was obvious that the Wolf clan was closer to the messenger of the beast deity, and there was a 9th highness in the family of the messenger of the beast deity. Once this 9th highness successfully leveled up and broke through his limits to activate the beast king bloodline like Elvis, then this legitimate beast king would become the true leader of the Fox clan. Cole, that stray beast king, would at most be a fake. By then, the Fox clan and Wolf clan would belong to the messenger of the beast deity. Hence, the priority of choosing a side in advance was naturally to follow the messenger's wishes. In today's sacrificial ceremony, the emissary's attitude was obvious. With such a consensus, the atmosphere between the 2 races naturally became harmonious. On such a night, it was inevitable that another fiery blind date would take place. Gu Mengmeng held her forehead and sighed. "We can't sleep at home tonight, let's go out and lie low for a while." Elvis and Leah were used to Gu Mengmeng avoiding other people's mating scenes, so they did not say much and left quietly with Gu Mengmeng. They had originally wanted to go to the stream to look at the stars, but Gu Mengmeng insisted on going to Sandy's house. The reason was simple: if I don't sleep, no one else is allowed to sleep. Chapter 1390. Sandy pointed at the bird circling in the sky and said, "Is it that birdman Gregory who's still flying around blindly in the middle of the night?" Gu Mengmeng looked up at the sky. "I don't know, it's too far, I can't see clearly. But it shouldn't be so fast. Didn't he bring Miranda back to the Moda Mountains? He should at least take a few days to arrange for mating, right? After all, there are too many wolves but not enough meat. Females are so rare, they must be dealt with appropriately. As the tribe leader, if he doesn't stay behind to control the situation, wouldn't it be a mess?" With that, Gu Mengmeng tilted her head and smiled at Sandy. "Why? You like him? Gregory is quite a good male. His looks are definitely at the level of a Prince Charming. He is also very powerful. Most importantly, he can fly, and he can fly very high. If your family can add an air force, it's not bad." Sandy rolled her eyes at Gu Mengmeng. "I don't want a blind man. Gregory isn't blind, okay? A vulture's eyes are very good. He can even see a potato dropping from such a high place. Gu Mengmeng defended Gregory. He's not blind. Sandy straightened her back. She roared as if she wanted to pick a fight with someone. If he's not blind, where did he get the confidence to say that he doesn't like you? Gu Mengmeng, should she tell Sandy that Gregory had already slapped himself in the face, and now he liked her again? Sandy was filled with righteous indignation. I thought he would be around today after winter, so I wanted to see what kind of person he was. How dare he look down on our Gu Mengmeng? In the end, I didn't see him and couldn't vent my anger that I had been suppressing for an entire winter. Now, I don't like any bird I see. TSK, none of the birdmen are good. Gu Mengmeng chuckled and said, Aya, aren't you being too presumptuous by saying that you can defeat a whole boat of people with one strike? That Ian and the rest are our people, right? By saying that, the Eagle Owl tribe is being treated unjustly. Sandy thought about it. That was true. Gregory had offended her, but the others with wings did not. But she had already scolded him, how could she take it back? So she cleared her throat. If any birdman is unhappy, ask them to settle scores with Gregory. Who asked him to ruin the reputation of all the birdmen? Humph. Gu Mengmeng smiled apologetically. Yes, my precious Sandy is always right. Gu Mengmeng stayed at Sandy's house and chatted with Sandy the whole night, while Elvis and Leah sat by the side to accompany her the whole night. The arrival of the Lord Wolf King made Sandy's 7 wolf beasts excited for the entire night. Since then, they had even more love and respect for Sandy. The next morning, when Gu Mengmeng returned to the stone castle with a yawn, the entrance had already been tidied up. Gregory stood at the entrance, his gaze locked onto the direction Gu Mengmeng had appeared from. Seeing her return, he did not go up to her, but instead turned to leave. He didn't know why he had stood at the door for the whole night. He just wanted to wait for her to come back, but when she came back, he realized that he had no right to wait for her, so he could only leave. He stood in the wind for the entire night just to see her. Gu Mengmeng didn't greet Gregory either. Their relationship was extremely awkward. Both of them knew what was going on and it wouldn't be appropriate to take a step back. Chapter 1391. The moment Gu Mengmeng pushed the door open, the 4 little fellows immediately sat up straight. They opened their eyes and stared at the door for a while. Gu Mengmeng could tell with one look that they were still in a daze from sleep. They looked alert, but their brains had not yet processed the situation. So she smiled and said, Go to sleep, I will wake you all up when Daddy Leah is done cooking. The 4 young men nodded blankly, then fell headfirst into a deep sleep. Gu Mengmeng smiled helplessly and shook her head. Elvis carried her up to the 2nd floor and said, You sleep for a while too, I will wake you up when Leah is done cooking. Gu Mengmeng was also tired after staying up all night, so she did not reject and allowed Elvis to carry her up to the 2nd floor to sleep soundly. She slept for the entire day. When she woke up, it was already evening. Rubbing her eyes, she went downstairs and saw her 4 sons surrounding Elvis. It looked like they had been fighting for quite a while. The 4 sons were all sweating profusely, but their eyes were shining with excitement. Elvis was fighting 1 against 4 with ease. The 4 little fellows could not gain any advantage in front of Elvis in any way they cooperated. Leah stood against the setting sun and his shadow was elongated by the sunlight. He pointed in Gu Mengmeng's direction, and when he saw her coming downstairs, he could not help but smile. He lifted the lid of the pot and said while scooping some food, Mengmeng, you're awake? You must be hungry, come and eat. Gu Mengmeng nodded and walked to the dining table. Leah had just placed the bowls on the table when the 4 sons had already crowded around the table and sat at their seats. Gu Mengmeng used a beast skin to wipe the sweat off Kanwa's forehead, who was sitting closest to her. She smiled and asked, Look at what you guys did, you're all sweaty. Kanwa chuckled and said, Mom, fighting with the Beast King is really exhilarating. Gu Mengmeng smiled helplessly and said, We did not gain any advantage, what's so exhilarating about it? Kanwa looked at Gu Mengmeng seriously and shook his head, saying, Which wolf tribe can gain any advantage from the Wolf King? We will definitely lose, but just the four of us daring to attack the Wolf King is already much more valiant than the other wolves. Didn't you see mother-in-law's 7? I heard from Colin that they're usually rampant at home, but when they're in front of the Wolf King, they're all docile and don't even dare to breathe loudly. Gu Mengmeng patted Kanwa's little head and said, yes, you 4 brothers are the most ferocious. Why don't you take a look at who gave birth to your sons? Kanwa was grinning so widely that only his teeth could be seen. He was obviously very pleased with himself. Gu Mengmeng continued, but why don't you call him Father Beast? Should we call him Wolf King? Kanwa straightened his neck and said arrogantly, when my, Kanwa's, father is more honorable than the Wolf King, I will naturally call him father. Silly son, parents are the most honorable titles in this world. No other titles can replace them. Kanwa shook his head and said, no. One day, when I become a Beast King, I will call the Wolf King Father Beast. Gu Mengmeng was helpless. Her son was very ambitious and she could not possibly pour cold water on him. Moreover, Elvis himself did not say anything, so what else could she say? She just rubbed Kanwa's head and asked, what about me? Do you still call me Great Messenger or Snake King in the future? Chapter 1392. We have 6 males in our family. Let us do those tough, dangerous and dirty things. You just have to stay at home obediently and be my mother. Gu Mengmeng sighed with a smile. Although the children refused to tell her what exactly happened at Cole's place during winter, it was not hard to guess from Kanwa's description. Tough, dangerous, dirty, Gu Mengmeng sighed softly. How many people have to fall into hell to protect one's innocence? If the price of letting me be carefree is that all of you are in danger, then why not? Leah hugged Gu Mengmeng's shoulder and hooked her chin with his other hand, blocking the rest of her words back into her mouth. Using his tongue, he crushed the rest of her words into a whimper. The kiss was deep and when he let go, Gu Mengmeng looked at Leah with her face flushed red. He then chuckled and said, as long as we can protect you completely, even if we fall into hell, we will still feel that we have a bright future ahead of us. So, keep away your what-ifs and what-ifs. Just be a good little fairy and let us protect you. If you dare to do what you did on the Moda Mountains a second time, I will definitely return the favor and let you see everyone you care about die in the most tragic way in front of you, including me. Gu Mengmeng shrunk her neck and smiled. Didn't I already explain? I only dared to jump because I was certain that Gregory would catch me. That was just an immature method to threaten others. I wasn't really seeking death. There are many ways to achieve your goal, but you chose the one that drove Elvis and me crazy. Leah looked at Qi Xian faintly. You abandoned us for him. This makes me very unhappy. Gu Mengmeng knew that Leah would not really kill Qi Xian, but if he wanted to be evil, he would have endless ways to torture others. She was not willing to let her precious son fall into Li's evil hands. Hence, she immediately gave in and hugged Li's waist. Smiling, she said, isn't it because I am not as smart as you, that I could only think of such a method that would harm myself? Why don't you tell me what you were planning to do at that time? I will learn well and not make such a mistake again. How could Leah not know what Gu Mengmeng was thinking? However, he wasn't going to do anything to Qi Xian anyway, so he decided to go along with her wishes. He pinched her little nose and said, it's very simple. You just have to sing a song. What do you want to sing? Gu Mengmeng was confused. Leah chuckled, in the beast world, only 2 races know how to sing, the mermaids and the birds. The difference is that only the females of the mermaid clan can sing, while only the males of the avian clan can sing. Gu Mengmeng rolled her eyes and suddenly smiled. So, once a female's voice is heard in the Moda Mountains, it will definitely attract the attention of the other birds' tribe members. They will definitely come to investigate. As long as we attract everyone's attention, the success rate of finding 1 or 2 people who can send us down the mountain will be very high. Gu Mengmeng knocked her own head regretfully and said, I'm so stupid, why didn't I think of that? She had set her sights on Gregory and thought that he was the only one with wings in the world. But then again, how do you know that only males can sing? Chapter 1393. Since you already had a plan, why didn't you tell me earlier? Then I wouldn't have done something so dangerous and made you worry. Gu Mengmeng looked at Leah with a wronged expression. Leah pinched Gu Mengmeng's nose and shook it left and right. How many times have I told you to leave anything to me and Elvis to handle? As long as you remembered my words, you wouldn't have done anything like that. Now you still dare to accuse me? I was wrong. Gu Mengmeng knew she was in the wrong and didn't dare to push her luck. She just smiled apologetically. Seeing the two of you jump down with me without saying anything, I was really scared. I won't dare to do it again. I really won't dare to do it again. So ever since they returned from the Moda Mountains, Gu Mengmeng didn't stick her neck out. She would obediently take 2 steps back and let Elvis and Leah handle anything. Even when coal appeared in solder, Gu Mengmeng didn't bother to handle it. She trusted that Elvis and Leah would have their own arrangements. Tilting her head, Gu Mengmeng asked again. I have another question. Leah. Ask. Gu Mengmeng. That cave is so far from the main mountain range and the wind and snow are howling outside. With my tiny voice, how can my song travel that far? Leah smiled faintly. He bent down and blew gently into Gu Mengmeng's ear. If your voice doesn't work, there's still your scent. Don't forget, you have a scent that can make all males go crazy. As long as Elvis and I work harder, we can make use of that wind to make all the males on the Moda Mountains go crazy. Scent, fox seductive fragrance? Gu Mengmeng glared at him. She crossed her arms in a defensive position. You actually want me to sell my body? Leah grinned. With Elvis and me protecting you, no one will be able to get you. As long as that group of males who were driven by their primal desires approach the cave, Elvis can unleash his beast pressure to subdue them. Then, he can preach righteousness, threaten and tempt them, or even use bewitching spells if that doesn't work. Anyway, there are countless ways to make them obedient. Gu Mengmeng held her forehead and said, Leah, I really realize that a fox will always be a fox. I admit defeat and will never act smart in front of you again. Leah poked Gu Mengmeng's brows and said, I will listen to it for now. Gu Mengmeng laughed mischievously. She had no choice, her credibility with Elvis and Leah had long been destroyed, there was nothing she could do even if they did not believe in her promises. After the meal, Kanwu and Qi Xian bade farewell to Gu Mengmeng. They were not around at the end of winter, so Zacharias was probably in chaos. Burke could not handle the situation alone, so they had to return as soon as possible to stabilize the situation. Gu Mengmeng hugged her 2 sons, reminding them not to risk their lives in the future and to be more careful in doing things. The 2 of them just chuckled and did not answer her directly. Gu Mengmeng understood that in their hearts, they had already decided that males should shield females from the wind and rain, not letting females come into contact with any danger. So these 2 sons would still use their own methods to protect her next time. Gu Mengmeng took a step back. At least promise me that you will ensure your own safety as much as possible. We will. Qi Xian hugged Gu Mengmeng back. Mum, you should smile more. Your smile is the prettiest. Chapter 1394. After sending Qi Xian and Kanwu off, Jiaoyu and Heda started to busy themselves with the affairs of the tribe. The marriage alliance between the 16 tribes and the Wolf clan caused the internal situation of Solder to be unstable. The Snow Fox clan had originally thought that with Cole as the Fox King, they would be able to stand up to the Wolf clan. Although Elvis was Gu Mengmeng's partner, the Snow Fox clan was still a native tribe and had a different foundation. But who would have thought that during the first hunt, Gu Mengmeng would gather the 16 tribes and the Wolf clan together? The situation instantly changed from a 3-way fight to a one-sided fight, making it difficult for the Snow Fox clan to fight alone. But Cole was someone who did not care and ignored the situation, as if he did not care about the fate of the Snow Fox clan at all. So, the elders could only find another way to save the nation. That morning, Gu Mengmeng was carried by Leah to Sandy's house. At the border of Sandy's territory, she saw a familiar person. Arnold, a third-level male from the Snow Fox clan, was the one who had started the first battle with Hodgson on the day of the marriage alliance between Sandy and the Wolf clan. He was the leader of the younger generation. Great messenger. Arnold bowed respectfully to Gu Mengmeng. Gu Mengmeng looked at him in confusion. You are here, for something? Arnold nodded and said, I'm here to confess to female Sandy. Confess? Gu Mengmeng was even more surprised. Didn't the Snow Fox clan never marry outsiders? Going back 8 generations, even when Wang Xiaoxin was still alive, she did not have a single Snow Fox as a partner. They would rather raise their clans and become her followers, but none of them became her male. Leah was the only exception in the entire Snow Fox clan. When her identity as the messenger of the beast deity was exposed, although the Snow Fox clan did not dare to say anything openly, they did not hold back against Leah. It was only after Gu Mengmeng became the Beast King and became more domineering due to the influence of Snake's memories did they gradually restrain themselves. As the respected messenger of the beast deity, the Snow Fox clan did not welcome her. But this Arnold suddenly confessed to Sandy, a half-orc? It wasn't that Sandy wasn't a good person. It was just that the Snow Fox clan was an arrogant race, and they couldn't help but be suspicious. Leah swayed his tail and smiled. Do you think that I, the Ninth Highness, am not strong enough to stabilize the relationship between the messenger of the beast deity and the Snow Fox clan, so you want to imitate the Wolf clan and form a marriage alliance with Sandy? Gu Mengmeng frowned. She looked at Arnold with a guarded expression. Arnold did not avoid the question. He smiled and replied, after all, the Ninth Highness's heart is not on the Snow Fox clan's side, isn't it? Chapter 1395. So, even though the 7 wolves had impure motives, they would not do anything to harm Sandy. But the Beast King of the Snow Fox clan was Cole. She did not trust Cole, so she did not trust everyone in the Snow Fox clan. So she would not allow the Snow Fox clan to infiltrate Sandy's family. You lost to Hodgson the last time. It must have been very frustrating, right? You were on par with him, but you only lost by half a move. Aya, it's really depressing to think about it. Leah swayed his tail and said nonchalantly, but now, he is a 4th-level beast. I wonder if you are still his match if you two were to fight now. Lee's meaning was that if he wanted to woo the other party's female, he would have to challenge the other party's male. The Wolf clan would not allow the Snow Fox clan to marry Sandy, so Hodgson was a hurdle he could not cross. This matter would not happen. Arnold lowered his head and smiled. Then, did the Ninth Highness mate with the Great Messenger because he defeated the Wolf King? Leah raised his brows and smiled. Why? Are you Sandy's first love? Arnold shook his head and said, no. Leah asked again, did you and Sandy have a lingering old relationship? Arnold shook his head again. No. Leah chuckled. Then what are you going to use to compete with me? Arnold stood straight and chuckled against the light. He did look like a carefree scholar. He said in a low voice, old relationships are not as good as new ones. First love is not as good as long-term companionship. It has always been the Snow Fox clan rejecting others. No one has ever resisted the Snow Fox clan. After all, if a Snow Fox male wants to coax a female, even a knowledgeable female like the Great Messenger would succumb to the Ninth Highness charm. Arnold may not be comparable to the Ninth Highness, but it should be enough to match Sandy. Leah was not angry. He just smiled. But you can't even enter the territory now, right? Arnold nodded. I heard that the Ninth Highness was chased out of the territory by the Great Messenger several times. It was only because of his infatuation that he managed to move the Great Messenger. Arnold also wants to imitate the Ninth Highness and act as an infatuated lover. Leah nodded and said, good luck. With that, he swayed his tail and looked at Gu Mengmeng, saying, "Let's not disturb him while he is brewing his emotions. Sandy is going to complain to you again when he gets anxious." "All right." Gu Mengmeng did not say anything else and just followed Elvis and Leah into Sandy's territory. Sandy used to sit at the entrance of the cave and bask in the sun. But today, he had shrunk back into the cave. Clearly, he was avoiding Arnold. Upon seeing Gu Mengmeng, Sandy's face turned sullen. "That person is still standing at the borders of the territory?" Gu Mengmeng nodded and Elvis placed her beside Sandy's bed. Gu Mengmeng sat in front of Sandy and hugged little Dodgy in her arms. She teased her and said to Sandy, "Since you don't like him, just get Colin or Hodgson to chase him away. Why do you have to hide like this? You make it sound like you did something wrong." You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.